Hello. Um, on the last video, I kind of talked about forgiveness for a brief second, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. And just so everyone knows, I'm not gonna try to make um my channel political or anything. I'm trying to stay focused on, on the Lord and things, but I do believe there are some things that as Christians do need to speak our minds about when it does come to politics. And because we've been silent for so long on politics, we're partly responsible for how things are right now. Because we, in a sense, just let it happen. So I think now is a time for us to start speaking our voices out and not be afraid to. I might elaborate on that more in another video, maybe not. But just for the view that do listen, who do watch me on my channel so far, I'm not gonna try to make my channel all political. I'm gonna try to keep things where they're supposed to be. But there are gonna be times when I will talk about some politic-like stuff, because I just feel like some things just need to be said. But anyway, I want to kind of touch more base on the forgiveness thing. I'm going to talk more so of my own experiences and what I've learned with it. For a lot of people, forgiveness may, like I said in the other video, may seem like a crazy of a thing to do. But the truth of the matter is, the first and foremost reason why we need to forgive others is because God forgives us. And he says in Matthew 6:14-15 that if we don't forgive others, we won't be forgiven. And Jesus also said to in Matthew 18:21-22, he says to Peter that we are to forgive someone 77 times. Or the wording was until 77 times. Which means we should forgive the same person over and over and over again. And it can seem to be a very difficult thing to do. It really can. Especially when it comes to things like rape or a betrayal or being abandoned, things like that. But when you forgive someone of doing some things like that, it helps you become an overcomer. It gives you strength. It helps you become enduring. It's kind of like the saying goes, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. But that only happens in forgiveness with things like that. God was able to help me forgive the person that attacked me. And I know he's done it for many others as well. And like I said in the last video, when you forgive someone or something, it's like you're lifting up the chains that they have put upon you. And just hopefully one day, the person that hurt you will realize what they've done and repent and change. But when you choose to not forgive, or you choose to allow part of you to hold on to anger against a certain person for something, it could lead you down a darker road. It could lead you to do things that you normally wouldn't do. It could ultimately drag you down. When you choose to be bitter and choose to have a hardened heart, you take your anger out on other people and shut everyone else out and things like that. Because I kind of did those things when I wasn't wanting to forgive. But it was more so when it comes to with that though. With me personally, that was more so against people who I was either I'm kind of friends with, or it was okay. Some of the hardest people. I'm sorry. I need to think how I'm going to word this, because this is definitely going to sound strange. It was harder for me to forgive some people that backstabbed me than the person that attacked me when I was a kid. And I know it sounds strange, but I think the reason being was because of the sense of betrayal. Sometimes it's easier to forgive someone who you didn't really know particularly well of doing something than a person that was supposed to be your friend or your loved one, and they just betrayed you. And because with what happened with me, it wasn't done to me. I mean, it was by someone that I knew, but it wasn't someone that I was particularly close to. Because that person was still kind of it was like an acquaintance kind of thing. I wasn't really particularly close to this guy, so. But when it came to my friend or I should say, I mean, I don't know what you call it. What would you call a person who just basically pretends to be a friend, who isn't really your friend, but they act like they're your friend because they just want to use you at their own convenience. Maybe the word is user. But it was also easier for me to forgive the person that attacked me when I was a child, was because that person was also a minor. And I learned later that person was attacked in that way themselves. So it was easier for me to forgive that person. I mean, don't get me wrong, it did not excuse what he did to me. It definitely did not excuse what he did to me at all. But God was able to help me forgive. But when it came to that one particular friend, I mean, I knew her for 15 or 16 years. I knew her throughout school and high school and after that. And throughout the entire time, and we were friends, it was basically a one-sided friendship. She only wanted me around for her own convenience type kind of thing. At first, she just wanted me around when she had no other people to hang out with, or she mainly hanged out with me because she was interested in my brother. She treated me like a third wheel. She backstabbed me over and over and over again. She lied on me. She lied to me. She denied me. I mean, I remember there was once when she was talking to some of her other friends, and they specifically asked her if she was hanging out with me because they didn't like me, and she flat out told them that she wasn't. She denied me to them right in front of me. But the stupid thing is that I let her do it. I just kept choosing to stick around to be a friend to her because I was hoping and praying one day that she was going to change and be the friend I needed her to be. So a lot of it was on my own fault because I just kept letting her use me. And as we got older, it went from her using me as just someone as a last resort to hang out with to using me for my money. All this she just wanted me around for. She just only wanted me around for either as someone to comfort her when she had no one else to comfort her, or when she wanted me for my money. And I've tried to do the Christian thing and to be in the friend thing and forgiving her over and over and over and over again. But a part of me was still holding on to all those times that she betrayed me. And just slowly I was just getting bittered and bittered and bittered. And I was getting tired of it. And I remember once, and listen, I'm not going to pretend I was a perfect friend to her, because I wasn't. But I remember once in particular, she met this guy online. And thankfully the guy turned out to be who he said he was, because it's not a good idea to meet people online. But she decided to go meet him, and she wanted me to go with her because she didn't want to go by herself. So I went with her just to make sure that she had been okay. And thankfully, like I said, the guy was who he said he was. And the thing was, after I met him, he flirted with me. He gave me his phone number, and for a while I just kept rejecting because I knew that particular friend, I'm going to call her Kay because I'm not going to say her full name, I'll just call her Kay. Kay and him was talking for months or whatever, and now all of a sudden he was flirting with me. And I'm not going to lie, I was interested in him. I liked him. But I kept pushing him off for her sake. But then one day I got the thought, but sometime later he contacted me on Facebook. And I thought, well, why should I? I mean, why should I not date him for her sake? When she kept backstabbing me over and over and over again, why should I deprive myself from being happy just to make her happy? And now listen, that's when I made the bad decision of dating him. Now, maybe the real bad thing I did was sleeping with him because I wasn't married to him. Remember in the video I told you that I talked about committing adultery? Well, that's who that was with. And I excused myself with it because he told me he was separated from his soon-to-be ex-wife. So that's how I excused myself in doing that with him. That's where I really went wrong, was when I slept with him, when I shouldn't have. But as far as dating him knowing that my friend liked him, I was kind of in the wrong for that as well, because, I mean, yes, I did like him. I did. But I also kind of dated him for a wrong reason. Part of me decided to date him out of spite against her. I just wanted to take a jab at her for all those things she done to me in the past. I just wanted to take a jab at her. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to date him, just to get back at her kind of thing, which I shouldn't have done. I allowed myself to get dragged down because I let her drag me down, basically. I should have just given it all to God and prayed for her and let it go. But listen though, forgiving somebody does not mean that you have to continuously allow the same person to hurt you over and over and over again, especially if they're doing really, really vile to you. Like, if you're in a situation where a person's beating you, or if they're sexually assaulting you, or things like that, you have to protect yourself. Don't just stay silent and didn't do anything. You have to protect yourself. Call the police. Do what you gotta do to protect yourself. You can still forgive a person without taking a risk of letting yourself get hurt even more, especially on serious situations like that. But if you just got a situation where you have like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a friend who just likes to use you all the time, you can forgive them, say, I'm cutting my ties. I'm cutting my ties with that person. I'm going to keep my distance from that person. I'm just not going to talk. I mean, you can forgive them and still have no contact with them whatsoever. There's no shame and no wrong in doing that. I mean, that's better than just letting them drag you down over and over and over again and then putting you to a place of bitterness. Because for 15, 16 years with Kay, I was just hoping and praying that she would change. I was just hoping and praying that she would finally realize, the friend I was for her, and that she'd be the friend I needed in return. But that didn't happen. All she done was she just cared about herself. And at one point, I just had to finally come to that realization and cut my ties with her. I didn't want to do it, but I had to. I had to do it for my own sake, and I had to do it for my family's sake. Because at one point, different times, she tried to put herself above my family to me. She tried to make me value her above my own husband and family. So, I had to cut ties with her. I mean, there's so many times when someone can bite your hand, so to speak. And there's so many times you can just let that happen and you eventually get tired of it. Unfortunately with me, sometimes I could be the type where I can just deal with someone and deal with it and deal with it and deal with it and let it build up until I finally explode. That is never a good idea to do. If you got an issue with someone, be honest with them about how you feel and tell them. Don't hold it in. Don't hold it in. Be honest. Talk to them. If you're able to, talk to that person and be completely honest with them. And the thing is, if you do that, they'll show you the real colors then. They'll show you how they really feel about you if you're just being honest with them and you say, look, this isn't right. My brother had to do that. You see, my older brother also dealt with fake friends who just wanted him for his money. And one day, he finally had enough, told him that he wasn't going to let them use him anymore. And they totally went 180 on him and just insulted him and treated him like my brother, like as if he was the worst person in the world. Even though he paid for them to have meals, he paid for their cigarettes, he paid for their gas and all kinds of stuff. And we're talking about a grown men who just want to be lazy. There's grown men that want to be lazy who just wanted to use my brother for his money. And he finally just had enough and quit giving in to them. And then all of a sudden, they treated him like he was their enemy. But with Kay, when I would try to tell her no on things, in a sense, she acted like as if I hurt her feelings. I mean, sometimes it is hard to not want to cave in to people, especially if you have a very giving and loving heart, and you're the type of person that loves to help people. It's kind of hard to tell them no, even though you know that they're a user. But at some point, you just gotta cut the user out of your life, because they're like leeches. They're just slowly sucking. They're just slowly sucking the life out of you. And the more that you allow them to use you and they turn around and betray you, the more you're putting yourself at risk to become bittered. And not just against them, but also against other people, because at some point you get to the point where you won't be able to trust anybody because of that one particular person or that one particular group of people who just kept hurting you over and over again. And they're not, honestly, those people, they're not worth it. They're not worth taking the risk of you becoming embittered and you getting to a place to where you don't want to forgive, and taking risks there with God and not being forgiving. That those people aren't worth it. They're also not worth you holding up your anger and you possibly hurting other people who do love you for. The users, they're not worth that either. They're not worth you pushing other people away and pushing those away that actually do care about you. There's nothing wrong in wanting to hope and pray the best for someone who's hurt you. There's nothing wrong with wanting to help them at times, but never allow yourself to get to the point where you enable them to keep using you. Because unfortunately with me, That's what I did with Kay. Instead of being honest with her and tell her how I felt about everything, I just enabled her just to keep using me until I finally got tired of it. And I mean, I forgive her, and I hope and wish the best for her. But as far as I can tell, as long as I'm on this earth, as long as we're both on this earth, I don't know if I don't know if I could ever be friends with her ever again. 'Cause it's just, once someone's betrayed you so many times, and you lose all trust in that person. I mean, trust is a very hard thing to gain back. And if you're a person who is a user, you're going to eventually get to the point where you burn all your bridges. And eventually you're going to get to a point to where you'll really need help, and no one's going to want to help you because you've done too much damage. Now, don't get me wrong, God will always be there to help you. But as far as other people around you goes, if you just keep using people and hurting people, you're just going to get to the point to where no one else is going to want to be around. And I mean, I know someone within the family who's been doing just that. He constantly likes to take advantage of people, and he's a huge liar, and he's burned many bridges, and he's almost out of them. He's almost out of support from people because he's done nothing but used them. And the thing is, you can only push people so far. You can only take advantage of someone's kindness so far and for so long, until it comes around and bites you in the butt later. But ultimately, though, when it comes to us being hurt, truthfully, the way to be healed ultimately is through forgiveness, is through letting the pain and the hurt and everything go and just give it in God's hands. I mean, I still remember, of course, I still remember the things that's happened to me, but I'm not going to deny that I've hurt others. And I remember and I have memories of how I've hurt others too. But the thing is, I believe with, memory is also a teaching tool. Us remembering the mistakes we make, it helps us remember to not make those mistakes again. And as far as remembering things that have been done to us, first and foremost, like the situation with me when it came to the rape, I truly believe, or at least I question, that the reason why God may allow us to remember those things is just so we can help other people. Because if we remember the things we felt and dealt with, we can truly understand what other people are going through. If we've forgotten, then we're not really much use to them, because at that point, if we've forgotten everything, we won't be able to help, we won't be able to understand them. And secondly, those memories could also to teach us to protect ourselves from certain people and certain things. If we could say to our children, This is the type of person to avoid. This is the type of situation to avoid. So memory is a very good thing, and can be used to help us to protect ourselves and to teach our loved ones good lessons from them. But I'm already 30 minutes in, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. But whatever pain you're dealing with, ask God to help you forgive. It may be very difficult for you, because, listen, it's forgiving somebody, it's easier said than done, especially if it's on cases where someone has hurt you in a very horrendous way. But trust me, God could help you do it. And He can help you overcome. He can help you become strong. Just put your faith and trust in Him and He'll do it. I hope all is well with you. I love you all. Shalom. And may God be with you.